Hey, it's Norm from Tested. I'm here at Star Wars Celebration at the EFX booth. Now, this is Steve Neisen. We saw you last year at WonderCon where you were actually working on still a Y-Wing studio scale model. Now, for people who don't know out there, studio scale means it's an exact replica of what Lucasfilm used to actually shoot the film, the actual miniatures they made. And this is the Y-Wing now finally completed as a prototype. Steve, tell me the story of this Y-Wing.
Well, Norm, last year it was just parts laid on a table. Then I did a small stint with another collectible company starting in June, and I left there in August. So this project kind of went flat because there was no one there to really take up the slack or whatever. So a good buddy of mine, Frank Cerny, is a model maker and molding casting guy, so he did the molds on our pattern, so it did have some progress. I got the model back and all its parts and stuff, and it was a really crunch time to get it ready for this show. And Brian from EFX called me and said, hey, we want to revive studio scale models in EFX. Can you do it? Can you be the point man? And I'm like, yeah, I think I can do it. So this is what we came up with.
This is your passion. It's not just building a miniature to the same scale, but to the accuracy. When you said that last year we saw parts on a table, you were talking about pulling parts from other model kits. That's what ILM used to make their Y-Wings, to make their Millennium Falcons, so this could be as precise as possible. Point out some of the details here that you're really proud of.
Oh, the stuff that I'm most proud of recently is, beside finding the signature part after 15 years of hunting, we finally found these little oil pans back here, and it was a bonus because the same kit gave us almost the entire neck. So those were replaced, so we have all actual parts. So the one I'm most proud of today would be this small little part here and this little part here. After 20 years of hunting, we can't find them. So we designed them in Rhino. I bought an Objet 30 Prime printer, 16 microns of digital goodness, and I printed them in less than an hour and a half, and now they're on the model. And they are exact replicas of the actual kit part without having to not find it anymore. We have them here now. So that 3D technology, the old kit bashing techniques, perfect mesh.
And then you got to also paint it. There's artistry in that. Now, what type of reference are you using to get this paint model to look exactly like what they shot with?
Well, back in WonderCon, I had showed you some photographs that we got. The gold leader is actually in private hands right now, and it's not on display, but I was lucky enough that a friend of mine knew the owner and it allowed me to have some photographs. So for filming, they really paint them a little heavy, so when they hit the bright lights, the detail still registers. So you've got to find an even balance between the way they would paint them for motion picture and for display. So this model will be a little bit lighter than what you would do if you were going to film it under bright lights. And what I did was I started from the nose to stern and painted the details exactly as you would have found them on the studio model, using the same techniques ILM did. You start with a primer color, then you paint it black. Then you protect that black coating, and then you paint the white. It was painted with Floquil Reefer White. That's exactly what they used. And then you do all your washes, and then you get some sandpaper, and you go in and start knocking down the white to show the black little spots and stuff. So that creates a weathered look, and you get your little scraper, your Dremel tools, and you start hitting it. You use latex techniques to create the impacts and stuff. So then you come in with your airbrushing, stenciling off panels and stuff. But if there is a color that was on the real one, it's on this one. The green. A lot of people go, "There's no green on a Y-Wing." Yeah, there's green.
I love that it's a combination of the additive and reductive processes. You're revealing paint and then also adding paint,
Absolutely.
And it's both to create that sense of damage in this lived-in universe. Now, you said EFX is now moving back into studio scale. That's so exciting. Can we take a look at some of the other products you're working on?
Absolutely.
Let's check it out.
Yep.
Steve, we saw the Rebel side of things. Now, here's the Imperial side. Got an Imperial Probe Droid. This is much larger than that 6-scale version I have. It's studio scale. This is what they filmed on Hoth?
That's right. This is the stop-motion maquette that they used at Empire Strikes Back. This kit was developed at least 15 years ago by a good friend of mine named Rolando, and we took this kit for over the years as pictures started to do. It's all about reference. You know that, Norm, and I'm sure Adam agrees. It's about reference. If you have the right reference, you can make anything. So what we did, myself, a guy named John Carilla, and Mike Salzo, we refurbished this to be the most accurate probe droid that you could you could ever want or have as far as studio scale models go.
They made two of these. They made a big one, live human-sized one, and the small miniature, it's painted differently. Is this based on the paint for that miniature?
Yeah, of course. This is painted like the miniature, and you notice it's not black like the large one was painted. This is more of a brown with some dark hues, but no black whatsoever. Now you could do some streaks and stuff if you wanted to weather it with some powder or whatever, but mostly it's a worn dark brown color.
And you have articulation. I mean,
yeah, sure. We designed it to where there's friction joints and all the things. So this is actually a stop motion. It's a stop motion kit. Hyperdyne Labs made the controller card for inside. So we have 6 or 7 different movie sampled sound effects lights. The servo that controls the antenna is broken. Of course, we had a malfunction. Before it transmits, the antennas will go up. It'll make its transmission, and then the antennas will go down. This, besides the Y-wing, this is the hit so far. It's really shown EFX that there is a desire for accurate studio scale.
And of course, you have a bomber here.
Yeah, this is the TIE bomber. They called it the Chili Dog bomber while they were making it at ILM. Lauren Peterson and Steve Golly are here. I'm going to go over and talk to them and see what they thought about the models. They came over and looked at them. But they called it a TIE Chili Dog. But as you notice, this came out as Return of Empire. And so the MPC Darth Vader kit was readily available. ILM guys took that kit and used the Darth Vader wings to make this studio model, which I thought was really neat. They used the canopy from the Darth Vader MPC kit right here. And just like all of our kits, every piece was researched, and the Leopold, the Morse Carl were used on this model specifically. This model was painted by a good friend of mine, Mark Graham, and very good artist. And he actually loaned this piece for the show. So, but the TIE Bomber is something we wanted to gauge interest, because I love the Empire. The Empire is definitely my favorite side.
And Steve, you have a couple more pieces here. Let's take a quick look at them as well.
Okay, absolutely. Let's go.
And then Steve, here's something that made its appearance in Jedi. It's ATST. What's the process of building up a walker from scratch?
Well, I tell you what, knowing John Carilla is the way you get started, because he's one of the greatest studio scale builders that I know. And what we ended up doing is we started out after Empire. You know, they showed the little chicken walker, a little skinny version that they put together really fast. Well, we wanted to do the stop motion, go motion ATST. And we started out, we thought that the legs, some of these parts here are from like a Fruhoff truck or a trailer or something, but we found out that the maquette that they used it from was actually just the wrong scale as far as when they made this. They used it as reference. So most of the detail was scratch built on this one. So our first version had littler, it kind of looked funny. It had the big head with little legs, and then we had to make that correction over the years. But this, painted by Mike Salzo, a wonderful artist, a great studio scale guy, and this is based on our kit. And another thing about the MPC Darth Vader kit, here's the bottom of the hull of the Darth Vader kit, or the feet of the Return of the Jedi ATST.
You just have this repository of cross-referencing parts, calling out other non-science fiction truck model kits that you can point out things that is so incredible.
Well, unfortunately though, I look at a model, I don't see it for its great, I see it for the kit parts. I go, oh, there's a Morse Carl part, or there's a Leopold part. I don't see it for, remember when we first saw it? All the cluster of detail, you're like, oh my goodness, look at that. Now I go, oh, there's a part. But if you look close on the armature, this was developed to be stop motion. So if you could take our files and you could actually machine it out of aluminum, and you can make it a stop motion. The ankles are hinged properly, all the mechanics of the legs are correct, and all the detail is correct. This is going to come out after the Y-wing. The paint master will go to China, and this is the paint master. We'll go ahead and provide the nose shrinks for this, and this could be available within a year.
That's awesome. Let's take a look at one last thing you have here.
Excellent.
And Steve, let's go back to the beginning, one of the first shots of episode 4. You don't see it from this angle, you see it from the back, but here's the Xscape Pod.
The Xscape Pod is one of the first models that I worked with, Rolando, the guy that made the Probe Droid. I saw this because he was showing it off. I reached out to him, I said that would be a perfect kit for collectors. That'd be a perfect thing to try to replicate. Our first version was pretty accurate, but over the years, reference started coming out and we started replacing the parts, and our latest version is the most accurate Xscape Pod that you could get right now. There's some folks out there that know that Xscape Pod started as paint buckets. You know, the old cardboard paint buckets. You can see it here, and it's cut, and they put the top on it. Saturn V third stage reducers here, the LEM shrouds. A lot of different kits, and it's got the style that we love about the ILM look.
Wow. Steve Neisen, your model making Jedi. I got to get studying on this. I'm going to inspect these models more carefully. This is amazing stuff. Thank you so much.
I want to say that this model was painted by Jason Eaton, a fantastic artist, and we really appreciate Hector Rosales for allowing us to display our Xscape Pod here today.
It's always a collaborative effort.
Absolutely, and everybody that knows that teamwork gets it done, and that's what we're about here at EFX, is teamwork to get it done.
Hope you guys get a chance to check this stuff out when it gets released. Thank you so much, Steve. We'll see you next time.